What is freedom? What is real freedom? Think about the things you do when you want to feel truly free. Is it planning a holiday? Escaping to a place far away where the stress of everyday life can't reach you? And when you're there, soaking in the sun or exploring new sights, what do you feel? Is it a sense of relief, peace, or joy? Now, what if you could experience those same emotions without needing to go anywhere? Without needing to change your circumstances? The freedom you feel when you book that holiday, step on a plane and leave everything behind, that's what we call circumstantial freedom. It depends on everything aligning just right for you to feel it. But what if there was another kind of freedom? Unconditional freedom is the ability to choose how you feel no matter what is happening around you. It's the kind of freedom that comes from within, allowing you to experience peace, joy, and contentment every day in the simple, ordinary moments of life. Now, let's hear the story of Jacob and how he discovered unconditional freedom. Stay tuned, because after the story, we'll share some practical tips on how you can create more of this kind of freedom in your own life. Jacob Saunders was the picture of success. As the CEO of a thriving tech company, he had spent 2 decades building his empire from the ground up. He lived in a sprawling mansion, owned luxury cars, and took vacations to exotic destinations whenever he pleased. To those around him, he was a self-made man who had everything. But lately, he started feeling this uneasiness inside him. Every day was full, and even though he loved what he did, he felt as though he was being lifted and carried along by something beyond his control, with so little choice in what his day would look like. Despite his accomplishments, despite his wealth, he was beginning to feel less free than he had ever imagined. It was a Wednesday afternoon when Jacob, restless and seeking a distraction, wandered into the company's mailroom. It wasn't a place he visited often, but something about its quiet, almost forgotten atmosphere appealed to him that day. Inside, he found Frank, an older man with a warm smile, sorting through packages. They exchanged a few pleasantries, and before Jacob knew it, he was sharing his dissatisfaction. "I have everything I ever wanted," Jacob confessed. "Yet it feels like I'm still chasing something I can't quite reach." Frank nodded, his hands moving deftly over the envelopes. "It sounds like you have what I call circumstantial freedom," he said simply. Jacob frowned. "What do you mean?" "Well," Frank continued, "you're free to go where you want, buy what you like, and do as you please. That's one kind of freedom, but it's tied to your circumstances. It depends on things going your way, doesn't it? You can't feel free unless the world plays along." Jacob had never thought of it like that. "So what's the alternative?" he asked, his curiosity piqued. "Unconditional freedom," Frank replied, setting down the last of the letters. "It's the freedom to feel how you want, no matter where you are or what's happening around you. It doesn't rely on money or vacations or success. It's the kind of freedom that comes from within." Jacob was silent for a moment, the words echoing in his mind. "And you have that?" he asked, almost disbelieving. Frank smiled. "I do my best. I don't have your lifestyle, but I don't need it to feel content. Freedom, real freedom, is being able to find peace even on the busiest day, or joy even in a moment of solitude. Circumstantial freedom, the kind that you have plenty of, Is having the time, money, and ability to drive 50 kilometers to a restaurant of your choice where you know you will get the most perfect steak prepared and then to feel great about it. Unconditional freedom is the ability to feel great like that regardless of what it is that you decide to eat right now. It is the ability to feel how you choose to feel about what is happening in your life right now. That evening, Jacob returned home and sat across from his wife Lisa at their elegant dining table. They talked as they always did, but something was different. He noticed how her laughter lit up the room, how the aroma of their dinner brought a warmth that had nothing to do with luxury. And when they settled in with their after-dinner Chardonnay, it felt different, more vivid, more real. For the first time in a long time, Jacob wasn't thinking about the next big project, the next exotic trip, or the next achievement. He was simply present, and it felt freeing in a way he hadn't thought possible. The next day, as Jacob headed to the office, he carried Frank's words with him. He still had his circumstantial freedom, but now he understood that true freedom, unconditional freedom, was within reach, and it didn't require more success, more travel, or more things. It required him to learn how to be still, how to find contentment from within. And so, his journey began, not to accumulate more, but to discover the freedom he had never known he needed. Now that we've heard Jacob's story, let's take a moment to reflect. Despite having everything he thought would bring him freedom, Jacob realized that true freedom wasn't about wealth, success, or status. It was about finding a sense of peace and fulfillment that came from within, what we call unconditional freedom. Through a simple conversation, he learned that he could choose to feel free no matter what life threw his way. And you can do the same. Here are 3 steps to help you bring this kind of freedom into your life. Step 1. Discover what makes you feel free. Think about things you do when you want to feel liberated. Is it taking a holiday, going to a fancy restaurant, or treating yourself to something special? What is it that makes you feel like you've escaped the pressure of everyday life, even if just for a moment? Identifying these things will help you understand what freedom means to you personally. Step 2. Identify the feeling behind the experience. Ask yourself, why do those activities make you feel free? Is it a sense of relaxation, indulgence, power, or abundance? Pinpoint the emotions you're chasing when you do these things. Understanding the feelings you seek is key to knowing what your heart is truly after. Step 3. Bring those feelings into your daily life. Now, look for ways to experience those same feelings regularly without relying on big plans or external events. If freedom to you feels like abundance, think about where you already have abundance in your life, like in friendships, time, or even simple pleasures. Try to appreciate those moments more consciously. And if it helps, consider how others might view your life and think, I wish I had that. This shift in perspective can make you realize that the freedom you crave may already be within reach. By following these steps, you can start building your own sense of unconditional freedom, one that isn't dependent on circumstances but flows from within. We'd love to hear from you. Drop a comment below and share what makes you feel free, or what emotions you want to experience more often in your everyday life. And if this message resonated with you, be sure to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. There's more inspiring content coming your way. Next week, we'll tell you the true story of Michaela Peterson, who grew up with debilitating arthritis and the depression that crushed her days. And she fixed it all with food. Can you imagine? Subscribe to the channel to hear all about this story too. See you next week.